This chapter contains quite possibly one of the dumbest, most ill-conceived plot points or reveals that Oda has ever done.
One Piece, Chapter 494, Duval's Tragedy.
I don't know where we took a wrong turn and wound up in Stupid Town, but we're here. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and just occasionally head-scratching tale that is One Piece. Now, our last chapter, as a matter of fact, following the events of our last chapter, we had the Flying Fish Riders just kind of going at and attacking the Straw Hats full force, seeing the Straw Hats, of course, working as just a great, I would say like a formidable, almost like military-like unit in the way that they complement and help each other, the teamwork that just sort of naturally happens, all very, very good stuff. And really it wound up ending off with, we know that Luffy had went crashing into the room that this Duval, Iron Mask Duval, was staying in. And that's how things wound up leaving off over here, just kind of with everybody mid-fight, right? This chapter was great. I mean, it was action-packed, don't get me wrong. Everything up until the last couple of pages I thought were good. I don't particularly care about or for these characters yet, these enemies that have been introduced. But a lot of times that's only because they've just been introduced and they don't really have any type of solid backstory or foundation to make you think or identify with or love or hate or whatever them, you know. But the last few chapters, they've been dangling this nonsense with this Iron Mask Duval, and he's talking about one of the Straw Hats apparently ruining his life. And you were thinking, I was racking my brains trying to think of a former enemy that was defeated by the Straw Hats on their journey now that essentially at almost 500 chapters in, at this point in the tale is about 10 years old. I mean, it's been going on for, in real time, it's been going on for 10 years, but they've been on the Grand Line for what, 6 months, a year? It's been a while, right? Anyways, like I said, the action, absolutely wonderful. You actually see a couple of really cool things where Zoro is still tired. I mean, he's still not tired. He's still just recovering from, obviously, the beating that he took at Thriller Bark, and then going and taking in all of Luffy's pain as well. He may be one strong tank-like motherfucker, but at the end of the day, he still is human. Slightly. He's still slightly human. and he's trying to heal up still. So there's a moment during the battle where he just kind of like collapses for a second. He's out of breath. And Brook as well is like, he takes out a bunch of guys and he's like, I must rest my bones. My muscles are tired, but I don't have any muscles. And him and those like cheesy, just corny jokes, for me, they're good. Maybe they'll be old a couple hundred chapters from now, but I like them so far, I think that they're timed and put in very well. So anyways, and then of course Hachi's fighting with them as well, and obviously these were former enemies, Hachi and Zoro, granted 400 chapters ago, but still, they were going at it, So nonetheless, it was kind of neat to see one of the Flying Fish Riders comes and goes to attack and goes to take out Zoro, and Hachi winds up coming at him with this six-sword style octopus flailing whatever, but he winds up nailing the guy and getting him away from Zoro, essentially saving him. And Zoro even says, "You saved me," And Hachi's Hachi's just tickled that I think he's one of those characters that although he was painted as a villain to begin with, now we're supposed to kind of, look at it and be like, well, this dude actually does have a heart, and he's actually kind of a good person deep down. He was just hanging with the wrong crowd, At least that's what I get from it so far. But then you wind up going and seeing a move where Hachi is just about to get impaled by this, by this javelin, this spear, that's coming on, this harpoon. I should say harpoon, because that's what they are. And Zoro and Brook both at the same time go and run this dude through and take him out. So it's kind of neat to see that teamwork, especially amongst unlikely allies, I guess you would say, And then you go and you see the actual ship, the Thousand Sunny, because we haven't really seen that much in action. We've seen the crew on it a little bit, but we haven't seen, seen kind of what it can do as far as with the cannons and everything else going. Usopp's firing cannons off of it. You've got Nami that's, she winds up using her Mirage Temple, and one of the Flying Fish Riders goes right through the Mirage, and then she's like, stormy skies ahead, and she's sizzling and blasting dudes. And then you've got Frankie, and Frankie's just going freaking balls to the wall nuts. Robin, of course, is being sexy and useful, as she is, it never gets old seeing a hand sprout out of somebody and go and snap their neck, or veer them off into the water if they're these fish riders, or veer them off and steer them into a building, all the different things that she can add to the group. So all of that was wonderful. I really did. I enjoyed all of it, and I think that all of that just sort of action and camaraderie and team building was all very good stuff. It really is. But then you wind up getting to the last few pages when all of a sudden Luffy comes running by, and it's hilarious, and he's just like, there's some dude in an iron mask, and he's on a big cow. And they're like, oh, that must be so-and-so. I forget the name of the thing. It's a big bison. So Duval comes riding out, and he's got like these two things that look almost like quivers that hold arrows, but they're actually like almost like Gatling guns, almost like the things in Attack on Titan that they wound up using to try to capture the female Titan. You know, these they look again like this multi-shot harpoon gun. You know, so he comes riding out on this bison, and he's going nuts and talking about how, oh, and you ruined my life, and he's getting his bad accent and all this stuff. And he's firing harpoons, and then he's talking about how they're scorpion harpoons, and they're poison, right? So he's a cheap fighter. So the poison that's on them will kill you make you leave this world within 3 minutes, you know? And I'm thinking, man, this is cool. This is going good, right? So then he goes and he says, and he's pointing out looking at one of the Straw Hats addressing him, and then all of a sudden, and they're always like, me, you know? And then all of a sudden he's like, you, Blackfoot Sanji. What? Sanji? They're like, Sanji, when did you mess with this guy? And Sanji's like, I don't know, you know, and they're suggesting maybe it happened back in his days on the Baratier. Oh, I don't know, I used to piss a lot of people off back then, and I'm laughing in my mind. I'm like, you still piss people off now, dude. It's just your attitude, right? But anyway, so he's thinking back to that, and then Duval is like, oh no, don't, basically like, don't patronize me, you know, and this and that. It was more recent than that, and he's firing harpoons and everything. So then Luffy's like, I saw him without his mask, I know who he is. And they're like, what? Luffy goes, he's like, okay, I'll show you, you know. He goes and jacks him up or pulls his helmet off, or whatever, gets his helmet off. And we see in the last couple of pages, and this is as Sanji starts running towards the guy, right? We see in the last couple of pages that it's actually the depiction of the picture, the hand-drawn picture that was on the wanted poster for Sanji. And although it's a little bit funny, it is one of the stupidest, most ridiculously retarded story, plot points, whatever you want to call, that I have seen in One Piece. Because when you think about it, the events of Enies Lobby, following Enies Lobby, is when Sanji finally got a bounty, right? They didn't chill very long after that before they set sail for Thriller Bark. Now, we don't know the exact time between then and Thriller Bark, but we know on Thriller Bark they really only spent the night, of course, you know, by morning, and then maybe a day or so later they wound up leaving. And then it says several days later they wind up coming upon all this stuff, Cammy, the Red Line, all that other stuff. So you figure that this bounty has been out on the Sanji lookalike guy, right? Because he looks exactly like the picture of Sanji. For maybe like, what, 2 weeks? Maybe a month tops. Hell, I'll even give you 3 months, and we know it's not 3 months, right? And this guy, who's this criminal, but who was never a pirate before and blah, 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 has been hunted and chased by the world government. Yeah, right. The world government doesn't have bigger shit going on and bigger fish to fry. No, they like to go into the Shabandi or Sabadi archipelago and go and look for people that look similar to fucking, you know, wanted poster. The most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. And honestly, I was hoping, and I think especially because the way it was built up that it was maybe some kind of former villain that they had fought against, and we didn't know which crew member it was and everything else. And it turns out it's just a guy who happens to look like the half-assed drawing that was made of Sanji, because they couldn't actually, because the world government people actually cannot seem to get a picture of him, right? They've been trying since our long part. They just can't. They can't get a picture of him for some reason. So somebody sketch artist draws this thing up or whatever, and it happens to look like this guy Duval. So then he's hiding from the world government, and in reality, this is for a couple weeks maybe, right? But his life is ruined. And he decides to go and put together a gang and have a hideout and everything else because, hey, you know, well, if you call me that, I might as well be that, right? Absolutely ridiculous, and certainly, man, when I saw the end of it, and it was great because then Sanji, as he's coming at him, Sanji's like, I don't give a shit. Boom! He's like, I don't care. Well, he doesn't hit him with his fist. He obviously hits him with his foot, but he's like, I don't care about your problem, your plight. I don't care about your deal, you know? And Sanji hit him like I wanted to go and hit him after I saw how ridiculous it was that this actually wound up coming to pass, and I was like, oh my god. So, definitely one of my least favorite chapters in One Piece, mainly for the story. The story and the background progression. The action and the teamwork amongst the characters in the first, 18 pages was excellent. The last 2 pages, some stupid off-the-wall shit. And, you know, everybody talks about, I see in comments, the next few arcs, the next few arcs, the next few arcs. Everybody's been saying that for a while. Oh, once you get to Water 7, once you get to Ennie's Lobby, once you get to Thriller Bark, now it's these next 3 arcs. Everybody has their own opinions, and I feel that One Piece is getting better, and I do enjoy just everything that's going on, especially now that I feel like I know the characters so much better. So it absolutely is getting better, and I certainly hope that that there are some things that come to pass in this arc that makes it get better, because if it's all centered around this douchebag, it's going to be a long, long, boring ride. Let me tell you that. So, anyways, my chapter question, though, is what were your thoughts on the reveal that Duval is, in fact, just a Sanji lookalike from the poor rendering and the poster that the world government did? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Thank you for watching. Remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and check out my other channels.